Stanton and the Miami Marlins travel to New York to face the Mets.
Rip right field towards the corner.
The pregame's at 3:30 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 4:30. Saturday on ESPN Radio.
Woody Page, Plasma One, hold on to your butts. Blackstone, Torrey, McMullen. Hello, Jackie. Today, ping pong balls. Bombs away. Rockets, Warriors, hot ice for Tyler Johnson. And, yes, kablam. We got backfleets in Major League Baseball. And we had to use the 1960s Batman for you people to get reference.
I'm going to accept reluctantly what he has given to us and not continue this dialogue and rhetoric. And we won't appeal.
No appeal for Patriots penalties after reports of back channel conversations and the bro hug. Yes, thank you, 80 sitcom cheers for the commissioner and Kraft. Jackie, what do you make of all this?
Well, no appeal, no pick either, because they give up the pick. But I know you like that. I thought this was the right thing to do for Robert Kraft. And he is the owner of the Patriots, but he's also a pragmatic businessman, Tony. And Roger Goodell is going to be the commissioner for a long, long time, and it behooves him to meet the commissioner halfway and to let this go. It is the best thing for the NFL, and I really believe it's also the best thing for the Patriots. Let's remember this. It's completely separate from Tom Brady's appeal, which will continue as far as we know.
Jackie, is this a change of course, though, for Kraft? I mean, you saw his comments immediately after, then with Peter King. He was defiant. And now today, is it a change of course, or was this the plan all along?
I don't think this is the plan all along. I think he's an emotional man. This franchise means everything to him. His entire family is tied up in the franchise. So I think it was emotional when it happened. But remember the original decision all the way back before we knew what the penalty was. Robert Kraft back then said he was going to accept the fine.
Torrey on Kraft?
Yeah, this smells like political theater. I don't know if it was the plan all along to ramp up the rhetoric and then say no more rhetoric, but it sure seems like he got a lot of outrage out there before realizing, oh, wait a minute, maybe I can get something out of this for me and for the Patriots, whether it's Tom Brady's suspension being reduced on appeal or whether it's some stadium deal down the line. It smells like something that he realized, look, this actually isn't going to hurt me as a businessman in the short term or the long term. Tom Brady being the villain is only going to increase jersey sales. It's only going to increase the product's level of interest among America. If I can get something out of this, maybe that's a pretty good deal for Robert Kraft.
Kevin Blackstone.
Well, I don't really know what he got out of it. To me, this seemed like the last phase of the punishment. Hey, Robert, will you walk out there on the plank and tell America that you kind of messed up, that you're not really happy with us, but you're going to go along with the plan because, oh, guess what? Don't tell them this. I work for you, and you're doing me a favor in this particular instance. Just like you said, one of 32 teams, and you're going to go along with the company line. That's really all I think was going on here.
And Woody Page?
It smells like, as Pablo said, a political deal here where, okay, we're not going to appeal. When you hear Tom Brady's appeal, we expect that there will be some recourse there where we get something back. Because you've got to remember the Patriots, even though they're going to get back from Tom Brady about $1 million in terms of what they're having to pay, his salary cap count will be $1.8 million for those 4 games. So they're going to get their money back anyway. I think it's a political deal.
Okay. Jackie Mack back in.
Woody, but you know that they don't care about getting their money back. They care about having their quarterback and their brand and their franchise player back on the field more than anything.
I mean, the money of it all, right? This is one fraction of 1% of their actual franchise worth. Last word, Pablo Torre.
No, I mean, this is something that I think Robert Kraft is going to look back and realize, I'm going to call this out later now that I look like a distinguished gentleman with my literal white collar.
So in the end, does anything change here? Does the fine move on any way? Do the draft picks, they don't move, and does Brady get a lower sentence, Jackie?
I do think Brady's sentence will be reduced.
Through the appeal for the NFLPA?
That stays.
Okay.
Yep.
NBA lottery now, tonight. Most important lottery for Philadelphia since every year. For Los Angeles since ever. And for New York since Yolanda Vega. Only Pablo knows what I'm talking about, but believe me, that's a legit line. Woody, who are the ping pong balls most important for?
Well, I think the obvious choice is the New York Knicks because they haven't had been in this situation since Patrick Ewing, and there's still conspiracies about that. So I think the Knicks, let's find out whether Carmelo Anthony can play with a great center, bring in Towns. But I think, and I got to mention the Denver Nuggets for one reason, Karl Anthony Towns. Who have the Nuggets lost? George Karl, Carmelo Anthony. It's time for payback. Bring him to town. But the Lakers are the most important because if they fall below 5, they lose their 6th pick to Philadelphia. They won't have anything.
I appreciate your circuitous route there for the Karl Anthony Towns there. I'm only going to bring it up for one reason. The reason is because you're in Denver. That's why you brought up the Nuggets. Let's go to Blackistone.
But he is correct about the New York Knicks, and the other reason is because this is their only shot at this deal. Next year's number 1 pick, not there. That's the one that they had to get away with. They lost because of Carmelo Anthony, so this is the one that they really need to get a home run for. But then you just look around a couple other picks, and you wonder, wow, suppose the 76ers get lucky and get 3 of the top 11 picks. Or, what a really crazy one, suppose the Oklahoma City Thunder get the number 1 pick, which is the least likely of all to happen. Yeah. But wow, to add to that group with a new coach.
I mean, I think if the Thunder get the pick, it might happen with the Knicks already. It might happen with the Lakers already. If the Thunder get the pick, there's going to be some conspiracy theorists out there, don't you think? Pablo, want to join us?
Well, absolutely, and if the Knicks get it, of course, the Knicks are the most desperate team, the most needed team, the most useful team in the NBA to get a top pick. But you know who actually values this the most is the 76ers, of course. I got a T-shirt sent to me. This is a 76ers draft lottery drawing party T-shirt.
Inside information.
It is being held Liberty Ballers today. I can't make it, but they are serious about this. 1-6-11.
Hold on a second. Why can't you make it? What are you doing with your time where you can't make this party, Pablo?
I'm unfortunately on this television show in New York. You may have heard of it. But the fact is, the 6th pick and the 11th pick with the Heat pick, if it conveys, falls out of the top 10. 3 lottery picks has never happened before. Yes, 3 of the top 11. The 76ers are hoping and praying for that.
So that would be the best storyline for you, or the most interesting, maybe after the Knicks. How about you, Jackie Mack?
Well, you would be right about the Sixers, Pablo, but we agreed that they would want to trade one of those picks. You could only have so many lottery picks in one camp. At some point, you have to have a veteran to show them the way. It is the New York Knicks. It's all about the Knicks. And you're right about this. If the Knicks end up with the number 1 pick, the conspiracy, those theories will be in overdrive, as they should be. That's what New York's all about. I really hope it happens.
Okay, and for the Lakers, anyone want to address the Lakers real quick? Woody?
I said if the Lakers are able to get the top 1, I think they become instantly, with their cap room, they'll become an instant contender again.
Blackistone?
Well, they're not as desperate as the Knicks because they have a pick coming next year.
And they had a pick last year. We didn't even play in the season as well. So it's almost like you're getting 2 lottery picks this year. We'll move on. Let's talk Rockets. It was Golden State 4, Houston 0, average margin 15 this year, though Dwight Howard didn't play in two and a half of those games. But that was then. This is now a post-comeback world. A different Rockets team, Kevin Blackistone. What's the one thing these new and improved Rockets need to do to beat Golden State in this series?
Probably play on a neutral court. How about that? Because you pointed out that differential. But you know what? 18 is a point differential in Houston in those games. So they haven't found a way to get close to beating these guys. Now, you can look at the rosters, and you can look at who's going to be starting. You can look at the additions and talk about who wasn't there and who's there now. Obviously, Dwight Howard is a big difference. But you know what? Anthony Bogut being back is a big, big difference for the Golden State Warriors, and they can play big with those guys.
Okay, so one thing. You didn't really get to one thing the Rockets do. You think playing on a neutral court is not going to happen. If there's one thing they need to do on the court.
I think that I just think the court is tilted too much in this series towards the Warriors. I don't think
Pablo,
they have
how about you?
Well, there is stuff that could happen that would be certainly in the Rockets' favor. Number 1, keep James Harden on the court in the 4th quarter. Have him merit that presence on the court, which was very weird in the last series. Have the bench, this built bench that you have, Pablo Prigioni, Josh Smith, if he's starting or coming off the bench, Corey Brewer, those guys, have those guys be better than the Warriors bench, which is absolutely possible. The Warriors and the Rockets played 4 times. They were swept 4 times, the Rockets were, but the 47 lineups, Tom Haberstroh pointed this out on ESPN.com today, 47 lineups were used, only 2 of the lineups in that 4-game series were actually the ones that the Rockets had used since. It's a very, very different team.
Good point. Jackie Mack, how about you?
Yeah, it's completely different. Completely different. Not only is it a different team, the way that Josh Smith and Corey Brewer have contributed in this postseason, he's even different than what they did once they got them in the regular season. So there's all sorts of different variables. I think the one thing the Rockets have to do, Tony, is to be able to hit from the perimeter. These are both teams that love fast pace and they like to shoot threes. If the Rockets can hit some early, like Trevor Ariza did in the recent games, they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Pace.
one thing. It's a one who. That would be Dwight Howard. If he can go 20-21, he didn't play in 2 of those games in the regular season. In the third, he had foul trouble all throughout. I think he's going to be the key to this whole series because if they can use him offensively and defensively.
Blackstone doesn't think. He says the tilt is too much in favor of Golden State. You've got the Warriors, Kevin. Pablo, you?
I have the Warriors in 6.
Jackie Mack?
I have the Warriors, but I think it's going to be a tight series.
Paige?
Long series, Warriors.
So everybody's got the Warriors, all right. No one's going to go with the Warriors. You know, the Warriors had a 4-7 odds going in that they're going to win the championship. You got to like Houston then on the other end, right? We've been warned. We're taking a break. Coming up, the streak is dead. The long live the streak. Rangers in a non-one-goal game. And Tyler Johnson in his zone next. No one's going to take the Rockets.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Buy or sell.
Lightning 6, Rangers 2. Of all Tyler Johnson's goals, 1, 2, and 3. Most impressive thing he did on the ice was when he didn't even have a stick. Tampa has scored 5 or more in 3 of the 5 games against the 2 Swedish words in sports. Last night, just one thing or something more, Woody?
It's just one thing. I mean, the Rangers are going to get back on track. I don't see Tampa Bay being able to keep up that pace for the entire series. And you have a situation where if the Rangers had tied that game and there was a great save made by their rim protector, then they scored 2 goals on the next 5 shots, or it would have been another close game.
Flagstone?
No, it's just one game. I mean, you got to look at the Rangers' record on the road this year, the best in the NHL. You look at the way they came back from a 3-1 deficit to the Capitals to win that. They're not going to be fazed by losing their first game.
But Tampa's offense and the 5+ goals they scored in 3 games against Lundqvist, Pablo,
that's
something?
Yeah, well, Tampa's offense is the league-leading offense. It's not like this is just some random team that's suddenly spitting out goals. And Tyler Johnson, that's something more. A guy who was thrice undrafted, who gets to satisfy the hockey analytics guys with his puck per possession numbers, and also the really, getting into the middle of things in front of the net. Exactly what you want out of a guy like that.
McMahon.
I think this is something because of Lundqvist. Lundqvist is your immortal goaltender, and now you've made him look very mortal, not once, not twice, but 3 times at home, and they've split the series here, and they go back to Tampa Bay with Pablo says, with a high-powered offense. This is definitely something.
Buy or sell 2. Dolphins signing Ryan Tannehill. $45 million guaranteed, which is 11th among quarterbacks. First among the Wilson Luck Griffin draft class for now. GM Mike Tenenbaum called him ascending and said he checks all the boxes. Kevin, which box are you checking? Buy or sell?
I'm checking buy, absolutely. You look around this league and everybody's always looking for a quarterback. Well, guess what? They've got one. This kid's gotten better and better each year. 27 touchdowns down to just 12 interceptions last year. Rating up in the 90s now. He's the guy you go with.
You believe he's ascending. How about you, Pablo?
I also buy it specifically because it's Miami and they haven't had a good quarterback since Dan Marino, as everyone likes to say. And also, he's being paid like a second-tier quarterback. The Andy Daltons and the Alex Smith-mans are his peers now. They guaranteed less than half of the sum of that contract, about $45 million. You can do nothing with that.
Here's why he's worth the money, because they didn't just sign him. They brought in Kenny Stills. They signed Greg Jennings. They brought back Jarvis Landry, who was his best red zone target. They've completely revamped their receiver corps, and it's going to favor a guy that's already a very good quarterback.
Woodrow.
Well, they've really bagged up their defense, so here's an opportunity with the addition of those wide receivers and a kid that was 5 years ago playing wide receiver. He's still learning the game and the intricacies. I think he's going to be an exceptional quarterback in the league, and that risk isn't that high, really.
And he's got the most tenure of any quarterback in the AFC East to start the season, right? With Brady being suspended.
Right.
Buy or sell 3. Kyrie Irving on whether LeBron is a father figure to him.
What? Oh, okay. So you parental role?
All right. So he didn't want to answer that one. Asked if he's ready for game 1, though. He said he's good to go. Can feel both feet underneath him, and it's amazing. Pablo, I'm not sure feeling both feet underneath you is supposed to be amazing. I think it's supposed to be just normal. How careful do the Cavs need to be with Irving?
Being ambulatory is definitely an upgrade if you're an NBA player. But look, it is a big upgrade because the Atlanta Hawks, you fear that they're going to get into that well-oiled machine Atlanta Hawks of the regular season. LeBron James has taken a bunch of dudes to the NBA Finals before, but it's nice to have your second-best player not be Matthew Dellavedova. No offense to Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing with Irving is he's going to have his hands full with Jeff Krieg and Dennis Schrader. Their whole game, Atlanta's game, is dribble penetration, and those guys are so quick, and Irving's got to be at his very best. I think this is going to be an interesting series for him.
And, of course, it's Teague and Schroeder. How about you, Woody Page?
What did I say?
I think you'd be cautious with him in the first game because you want to try and split there. And after they get this series started, they're going to play every other night. You're going to be testing him. So I think you still be cautious initially with him before you just turn him totally.
Show him a film of John Wall playing with a hand with 5 broken bones, and you say, this is the way you gut it out in the NBA come playoff time. You'll be just fine, we'll be just fine, and we'll be inspired by your play.
Have any of you guys ever asked a professional athlete whether someone 6.5 years older than them is their father figure? And what type of response did you get if you asked that question? No? Okay. Just checking.
It's a clown question, bro.
Page 16, first to go. What's the last word?
I've asked a lot of players if I'm a father figure to them. They all seem to think I'm their daddy.
Blackstone, Torrey, McMullen, right around next. Coming up, longer kicks, more two-pointers, and setting the ball on fire. What the changes to extra points will mean for the NFL. More importantly, fantasy. Next.
Major League Baseball on ESPN Radio. This season, the Mets have been a tale of two teams. One of the league's best at home and one of the worst on the road.
Towards the corner.
This weekend, they'll be at home at Citi Field facing the Marlins. Will their home field domination continue, or will Giancarlo Stanton lead Miami to a road win? The Mets and Marlins. The pregame's at 3:30 Eastern, followed by the first pitch at 4:30. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app.
33-yard field goal or two-point conversion from the two where the defense can run it back, or 33-yard field goal or two-point conversion from the two where the defense can't run it back, or 33-yard field goal and two-point conversion from the one. Which of the three proposals do you think makes the most sense for the NFL, or are you saying no to any change, Kev?
I'm saying no to any change. I mean, I'm sorry. I just don't know any of my friends who are NFL fans. When we watch a game where we sit around and we go, this PAT is ridiculously easy. It needs to be changed. Of course it's easy, but no one needs to have it changed.
Okay, citing his friends who watch the NFL. Interesting inside information from Blackstone. Pablo, how about you?
Well, KB, I consider me your friend, and I think they're so boring that I've never actually attempted them in Madden, in a video game. It's too boring to do a PAT. Literally. So for me, go with the most extreme version. Go with the version where the defense can run it back with the make Tim Tebow at least somewhat relevant.
Okay.
That's more
if
interesting.
Kevin's going to get a mute
Even if it's
for talking about his friends, you're going to get a mute for talking about video games. Jackie Mack, how about you?
Pablo, so we should make all rules to include Tim Tebow to make him relevant for the NFL. I can't go along with that. 1 yard out is too close. And you know what else? It's too dangerous for the quarterbacks. If you put it 1 yard away for the two-point conversion, then your guys are going to have quarterback sneaks. 2 yards away is completely different.
So you want longer kicks and 2 yards away for two-point conversion.
2 yard conversion, and defense can score. I like that.
Absolutely. The defense scoring. I mean, that's what we're talking about. The only thing they can do better than that is set the ball on fire, which always makes the game more exciting. Lightning 2. Everett Golson yesterday expected to choose Florida State. Instead said he wanted more time. Today he chose Florida State. Better for Golson or for the Seminoles, Pablo?
For the Seminoles, their odds to win the championship got cut in half from 30-1 to 15-1, and because of their prior history with quarterbacks, all of the problems that made Golson radioactive Notre Dame, suddenly not that big of an issue in context.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The Seminoles, and I know everyone's going to say Golson had too many turnovers. He had 22 last year, most in the college football. But guess who had 20? Jameis Winston. So Florida State can handle that, and I think they'll open up a little better for him.
Not only that, you're talking about a guy who has the experience of going to a BCS championship game. You're talking about a guy who, you know what, he lost some games at Notre Dame, but you know what, a lot of those games where the defense gave up half 100. So it wasn't all on him. He's a solid quarterback.
Kevin, if we were to poll all your friends watching at home right now, would they be in favor with you being eliminated, or would they want you to advance the showdown?
You wouldn't be able to reach them because their phone line would be busy because they're trying to call you to find out how you reached this particular conclusion.
Phone line busy. Do we still have phone lines that get busy in 2015? I don't know about that, Kevin. Tori McMullen, that's going to be our showdown next. Straight ahead, wearing Batman cleats in your first career start. Is that Christian Bale voice or George Clooney codpiece? It's showdown, it's McMullen, and it's Tori, and it's Batman cleats for a rookie in his major league debut, Lance McCullers. And it's 4 sport follows for the president from Chicago, but not the Cubs, which drew the attention of the Cubs. Pablo, who, if anybody, has more explaining to do?
I think it has to be the kid with the Batman cleats. Barack Obama's in his second term. Isn't that surprising? But that kid went back and used like the Michael Keaton era, maybe even the Adam West era logo. That's not even, he was probably not even born when those movies came out. How can you even appreciate that kind of nostalgia?
Explain to me why President Obama doesn't have the Princeton basketball team, which his niece is on, as one of his favorites, and why is George Herbert Walker Bush one of his favorites and not Hillary Clinton? He's got some explaining to do.
Wow, I didn't see that conversation going there. Jackie Mack, sure.
Actual political substance.
Wow. Take the FaceTime, Jackie. I'm calling the fight.
That's no response.
Okay, so tonight is the NBA draft lottery. We'll find out all the hand-wringing that will go on after everybody establishes their order in the draft. But I always like to look ahead 10 years after a draft to see, did everybody get it right? And you know what? They hardly ever do. In the 2005 draft, for instance, Atlanta took Marvin Williams with number 2. I bet they'd like that one back. Golden State went to the 40th pick to pluck Monte Ellis. 57th for the Suns, Marcin Gortat. And number 4 was Chris Paul of the New Orleans Hornets, who the Celtics desperately tried to get traded on draft night for Paul Pierce. You never know, guys.
You were telling us the story before we went on, Jackie. What were the headlines for Paul Pierce and Chris Paul?
There were 2 different ads to appear in the Boston Globe. One with Chris Paul as the future of the Celtics, and one as Paul Pierce as the continued captain of the Celtics. They had both ready in case they traded.
All right, thanks for sharing, Jackie. That's going to do it, folks. 23.5-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow.
Miguel Cabrera leads the Detroit Tigers into Anaheim to face Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels. The pregame's at 7 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 8. Sunday on ESPN2 and on ESPN Radio.